That is swarm number 10. How's that for old Eagle Eye? Got her. Oh, there she goes. Yep. Oh, she's flying. And there she is right there. I knew I should have kept her caged, because as soon as I released her out of the marking tool, I saw her fly off, and sure enough, there she is. All right, hey, welcome to May, everybody. So here it is, Thursday, May 1st, right at 11:30. Temperature is 82 degrees, humidity is 60%, and luckily I had a little bit of a longer lunch today because I ran home to take care of this. That is swarm number 10. And Jennifer was so kind to take one of the traps off of the fence, put it on the ladder as you see here. The bees are checking it out, but I'm gonna help them out a little bit by either doing one of two things. I may just use the weight and the rope for the slingshot, toss it over that branch, pull a bucket up, or I may hit them with the bucket on the extension pole to try and get them into this trap here. So stand by, I'll show you what I can. I only have about 30 minutes to figure this out, but first I might go grab a frame out of one of the hives that has some brood on it, because that seems to work, and I'll show you what I can here in a little bit. All right. Got the rope over, that was pretty easy. Just gonna tie it to the bucket and see what I can get done. All right, I haven't really been paying much attention to the time, but probably no more than 10 minutes. So went out to the yard, I grabbed a frame out of number 12 that has some capped brood, but more importantly, it has a lot of open brood. Put that in a 5-gallon bucket, and thanks to the taller ladder, just to give you somewhat of a first-hand perspective, I was able to get very close, probably within 6 feet of the branch and the swarm, easily tossed the weight and the rope over the branch, pulled the bucket up, and we'll see how this goes. So I'm just gonna leave that there for the better part of the day, because I am in a course all week, but fortunately I got a little bit of a longer lunch today to where I could run home, take care of this, and get back on time. Something that I did not mention, when I went out to the yard, I looked at the ground. No evidence of a queen walking around, so I will give y'all a follow-up here in a little bit once I'm home for the day, around 4 or 5 o'clock. And if most of the bees have moved off the branch and onto the frame and onto the bucket, I'll get them transferred into some equipment, and at the same time I will see if they have a marked queen or not, since I'm fairly confident all my queens are marked. So I'll have to go through all the hives this weekend as well, just to see if one of the hives did swarm. But if I find a marked queen, there's a good chance it's mine or a neighbor that's relatively close by. If I find an unmarked queen, there's a good chance it is not mine. So stay tuned, but it's definitely swarm season, folks, and hopefully things settle down a little bit. But looking back at last year, the swarms were pretty active all the way through May, so we'll just see how things go. Here's one last look before I get out of here. All right, here we go, folks. So it is 3:45, temperature's about the same, 86 degrees. The humidity dropped a little bit, it's around 58%. And the good news is they are still here, even though it's a little windy. I have a plan that I've been wanting to do, and I've been waiting for a swarm to land on the perfect branch, which is what I'm considering this. So what I'm gonna do is try to rig up a pro nuke with ropes in 4 corners that comes up to a centerpiece, and I'm going to replace the bucket with the pro nuke. That's the idea, at least. I need to get this thing going, so we'll see if this works or not. All right, here we go. It's only been a few minutes. Nothing's changed with the swarm in the bucket, but let me show you what I rigged up real quick. All right, well, we'll see how this goes. I'm just gonna lower the bucket, transfer the frame over into the Pro Nuke force, tie off the rope on the black carabiner, and then raise the Pro Nuke up with maybe a frame or two and see if they move into it. All right, now that we have the one frame on the ground, let's see if we have a queen. Got some bees moved over. That's the general idea, but most of them are still in the tree. I would assume if she's marked, she would have definitely stood out by now. But sometimes they're hard to see just because there's enough bees covering them. All right, I'm gonna keep looking, and of course if I find her, I'll share that with y'all. All right, no sign of the queen on that frame, but this is the configuration, and I'm just testing it here on the ground. Seems like all the knots are sufficient to hold some weight. So let's get this thing hoisted up and see if this idea works. All right, so far so good. I did give the rope a few good tugs to knock some of the bees off the branch, which is why there's so many flying. But yeah, I'm just gonna set a timer for about an hour and see if there's a noticeable difference with the bees, the amount of bees moving off the branch and into the box. All right, I am happy to report that, oh man, I don't even remember. I'd have to look back and look at some video. Swarm number, I think swarm number 3 from the yellow trap that I moved into the stacked 5-frame equipment that I've been moving very, very slowly over the last few weeks out into the bee yard. I finally got them set up and on the hive stand. And I learned this lesson a few years ago. You can't move a hive 180 degrees and expect to retain all the bees, because I did that before. But what I learned is just crack the boxes and they will find their way into their new home. And then once all this settles, of course, just put the boxes back together and they'll start using the front entrance. All right, yeah, so looking back through my hive track notes, this was the swarm that I caught on April 9th, moved into the 5-frame equipment on the 14th, and I have not been in them since, which it's been about 15 days, give or take. So I might just get into them today, and I might also, I want to move them into some 10-frame equipment because I am suspecting that the 2 nukes, the 5 frames, so 10 frames total, I'm expecting them to be fully drawn out and possibly have a decent amount of food stores, judging by how heavy the 2 boxes are, right? So I might get into them real quick. As I say that, I'm probably gonna do that tomorrow. I think I'm gonna have a little more time on my hands tomorrow, and besides, I don't wanna really get in the way of this. I want this whole thing to settle down first. So yeah, I'm gonna get into them tomorrow. To recap, if you didn't watch last month's video or whatever part of last month that was, I found the queen, got her marked, clipped her wing, so I expect them to be good to go. Plus this top box was 5 frames of brand new foundation that I may have waxed or may not have waxed. I'm not entirely sure, but it feels heavy. I'm gonna let this whole thing settle down, like I've said a few times, and I'm gonna get into them tomorrow as priority 1 to kick off May's inspection cycle. All right, it's about 5:30, and if you can tell or not, the bees have kind of clustered again on the branch right outside the box. So it's been just about an hour, and this is the current situation. All right, so since it's getting late in the day and this didn't exactly work how I wanted it to, I'm just gonna lower the Pro Nuke, move the ladders out of the way, get the extension pole with the bucket, and because it's easy to get to and I have the yard to work with, nice wide open space, I'm just gonna get the pole in the bucket, bang them into it, and then dump them into the Pro Nuke like usual. Alrighty. How's that for old Eagle Eye? Got her. That's awesome. And she's not marked, so there's a good chance she is not one of mine. Let me get her put in here. Right between some of the frames. Dump the rest of the bees in there and show you what's left in the tree. Got a pretty good eye for finding queens. All right. See if y'all can see this, but yeah, I'm gonna hit them a few more times with the bucket, but there's really not many, and especially with having the queen in the cage and in the Pro Nuke, the rest of them should come on down. And if I can't get the rest of that little cluster tonight, I'm just gonna set the Pro Nuke on top of the tall ladder as close to underneath the swarm as possible, and I'm sure they'll move down throughout the rest of the day, if not tomorrow. All right, I decided to come into the shed to get her marked because there's just so many bees flying all over outside. I decided just now not to clip her wing because she does look a little on the small side, so I'm thinking possibly a virgin queen, but we'll just find out over the course of the next week to see if she starts to lay or anything. All right, swarm number 10 captured. Gosh, they are always so slow to crawl out. Oh, there she goes. Yep. Oh, she's flying. Get in the... Oh, man. I'm not sure if she flew off or not. So why am I showing you this? Well, I managed to find the queen. I got her marked, and there she is right there. I knew I should have kept her caged, because as soon as I released her out of the marking tool, I saw her fly off, and sure enough, there she is. So I'm gonna hit them with a bucket 1 or 2 more times, see if I can get her down, and if not, I'm gonna pull the Pro Nuke up to the branch again. All right, here is the best and final for the night, and if this doesn't do the trick come tomorrow afternoon, I don't know what will. So I decided to throw the rope over the branch above where the swarm was so I could pull the nuke up. Originally the idea was to get the nuke right on top of the swarm, but I figured if I pulled a little harder and with some assistance from the extension pole, I was able to guide the nuke on top of the branch. So we'll see if all the bees are in the box come tomorrow afternoon. All right, here we go, folks. So it is Friday, May 2nd, about 12:45. Temperature is 86 degrees, humidity is 57%. And before I explain what I plan on doing today, let me give you a quick update on swarm number 10. All right, so there you go, folks. Not exactly what I anticipated today looking like, but I have a plan for around this evening that I saw the old dirt rooster do using a smoker and a leaf blower. So stay tuned for that, but my goal is to drive most of the colony that you see there hanging on the outside of the hive into the box and lower the box later today. All right, so today's focus is going to be pretty short. There's really just two things I plan on doing. One, finally moving hive number 20, which according to swarm tracks was swarm number 3. Finally moving them into some 10 frame equipment. I'm really anticipating all 10 frames of the stacked five frame nuke setup being completely drawn out. So they should easily fit into a 10 frame box. And then the second thing, as we take a look at the entrances, the second thing I plan on doing is between 20 and number 6, whichever looks stronger, I plan on adding, if you can see it in the background, not that it matters, but I plan on adding a medium box to them. I'm gonna add a medium box now, knowing I have not waxed the frames. That is something I plan on doing on Monday, so I'd rather give either one of those hives just some space in the meantime, and then come out Monday, reassess if they haven't really done much, which I kind of anticipating them not. I'll pull the box, shake the bees out, and wax the frames. The blue swarm trap, which is right here in the yard, has had a lot of activity over the last few days. Not too much to really confidently say they're a swarm, but I may have to get the ladder out here and pop the top and see what's going on. But since I went through all the hives last week to kind of re-baseline them, I don't plan, never say never, I don't plan on going through all the hives this weekend at all. In fact, tomorrow is the county club's bee blast. It's our annual social and one of the main opportunities for usually new beekeepers that just went through the show course to take their practical exam, or any other beekeeper that wants to take it. So that's tomorrow. So tomorrow's kind of shot, and then Sunday I'll use that day if anything comes up. But yeah, moving 20 into some 10 frame equipment, take a look at between 20 and 6, add the medium box like I said, and then since I will have some 5 frame, stacked 5 frame equipment available, I may take a look at 25, give them a quick assessment, see if they need more space. And then it's been a while, and I haven't labeled this nuke. This was nuke number 1, as I've said in previous videos, but I need to see if they have a queen, because I introduced another queen maybe a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. I've left them alone so I don't disturb anything, but it's been long enough to where they'll either have a queen, or they'll have, hopefully they won't, but maybe they'll have some problems in the form of a laying worker. And if that's the case, I can easily combine the 5 frames from nuke number 1 into number 25 and stack them in the same configuration as hive 20 in a stacked 5 frame nuke setup. All right, longer introduction than I planned on making. Let's get into number 20 for the first time since moving them from the swarm trap into their current setup. So whether I said this or not, Hive Tracks has me at 18 days, so pretty darn close to 3 weeks since I transferred them into the stacked 5 frame setup. All right, here we go. First look at 20. And I am not surprised to see this right away. Check this out. They definitely need some space. Check that out. I know it's probably hard to tell, but she is laying in every single frame. Look at this, very first frame, right? Very first frame. That is a textbook frame. And of course, where is she at? The very outside of the very last frame. I'm just gonna get her caged so nothing happens to her, because she is doing a fantastic job. I mean, you want to talk about just an awesome, strong colony with a great brood pattern. Yeah, I'm gonna add that medium box to this colony, because I mean, they have no kidding all 10 frames drawn out, which is, I mean, just amazing. So that's number 20. They're looking great. All right, there is no way there's this many field bees in number 20. If so, that is simply amazing. Let's get the queen released. Slide this medium box over. Anytime now. They always take such a long time to get going. All right, there she is. And one last thing, due to whatever's going on right now, right? I'm just gonna leave the back cracked like you see right here, give them a few days to settle in, and then close everything up. All right, nuke number 1 has a laying queen. So I marked her, and if I recall correctly, I made the comment of never marking what I suspect to be a virgin queen. Or maybe I knew she was a virgin queen because she was caged and she hadn't made it, but she looks like she made it nicely, if you can see the size of her. So what I am noticing, 2 things. 1, her dot could be refreshed a little, but 2, I did not clip her wing, so I'm gonna do that today. All right, nice little refresh, and clipped her left wing. So just gonna give her like maybe a minute to dry off, and then we'll get her released. Huh. All right, I just pulled number 23 down out of the pine tree that's right behind the shed. This box has some pretty nice weight to it, and all I am going to do today is simply move them over into a nuke, and then just like number 20, I'm gonna add another nuke on top with 5 frames with brand new foundation. And she's laying on the inside of the very outside frame, which is fantastic to see. All those cells, if you can see it, I mean, look at that wax. That is beautiful. Same thing on this side. Swarms are amazing with how strong they are and how quickly they get going. I mean, they are looking great. Let's see if she's on this very last frame, which I would not be surprised. Huh. Well, that's interesting. I do not see her. Well, there's plenty of signs they have a queen with all the eggs that I'm looking at. So, yeah, just gonna get them added to the nuke, leave them in place for a day, and then start moving them slowly towards the yard. There she is right there, if you can't see her. I must have completely overlooked her. I went back through the frames, and she was on the outside of the very first frame, between the frame and the box. So I had no doubt they're queen right. I just like to find her, especially when going through 5-frame equipment, because you're not dealing with that many frames to look at. But I'm just gonna get the rest of the bees banged into the box, and that's it for this one. All right, well, mental note for next time, make sure the openings on the Pro Nuke are actually open. So that makes complete sense as to why they're all clustered on this side and haven't gone in overnight. All right, now with that side completely open, I mean, they are going in that thing pretty damn quickly. So, yep, let's make sure both entrances are completely open and maybe things will move along a little quicker. Well, that's something to make a note on and learn from, because that was kind of dumb. I didn't even bother checking to see if both sides were open, right? I forgot to grab the camera earlier, but I took the time this afternoon around 1:30 or so to take the other swarm traps down out of the tree, get the 5 frames into the bottom box, just like hive number 20, add another box on top with 5 frames that have brand new foundation, and as long as these swarms perform the same as 20, here in about 2 or 3 weeks, they should have 10 nicely drawn frames with food and brood. And then just to show you this one too, so over the course of the week I will do the same thing I did with 20, but probably move them along a little faster and inch this one towards the fence and then back into the yard. All right, everybody, here it is, Saturday, May 3rd, right after 10 o'clock out here in Maysville. Temperature is 77 degrees, humidity is about 61%. It is a little windy, and I am out here because it is our annual bee blast, where a lot of the newly minted beekeepers will take their practical to become certified members of the state. Let's go see who's doing what, because testing started maybe 30-ish minutes ago, and honestly I'm looking at maybe 8 folks out here, assuming they're testing, so we may not have too many people just yet testing, or maybe they already have, I don't know, but let's go see who's doing what.
So,
all right, here we go, everybody. So hey, it is Monday, May 5th, 3:45 in the afternoon, and it is hot. It's at least hot in the shed. I just got in here, opened up the windows, but the outside temperature is 82 degrees and the humidity is 63%. I just wanted to show you something before I get started, and I'll explain what that is. So I hate to admit it, but I ran out of wax. I ran out of wax that I had on hand that I was using to wax frames. So I got online, looked around, and came across Crystal's Honey out of Massachusetts. And I just received a 10-pound block of wax, actually 2 5-pound blocks. 10 pounds for $90 and free shipping, so not too bad. Just wanted to give them a shout out. One, good prices, free shipping, especially on 10 pounds. And it shipped pretty quick. I ordered it late last week, and here it is Monday. Here's a quick look at their product, and I'm about to throw one of those blocks in the crock pot, let it melt down for a few hours, of course, and then get to waxing some frame. All right, so why am I going out to the yard? That's a great question. So I'm going out really to pop the tops on the hives, all of the hives that have supers, which are all but maybe 1 or 2, really figure out how full the supers are, and use that information to gauge how many frames I plan on waxing, right? So it's May 5th, right? Early May. Our flow usually lasts until about maybe the end of June. So for the most part, I have about 60 days or just a little less of 2 months to capitalize on our nectar flow. And if I can add some deeps this time of year, and considering how strong some of the hives are, if they can fill a deep in the next 2 months, that would be fantastic. So let me put my veil on, my gloves, get the smoker lit, and then I'll give you a few shots, a few clips of some of the supers, which I'm anticipating some of them being pretty darn full. And with how strong those hives are, like I said, they could probably benefit from getting a deep box, especially a deep box with nice heavily waxed frames. Because if you didn't see last month's clip, the mediums that I usually use for supers, or typically use for supers, I took the time to wax a lot of those frames, and I was extremely surprised at not only how quickly the bees drew out the wax on them, but how quickly they filled them with honey and cured some of those frames. So again, with about 2 months left in our nectar flow, if I can add some deeps, I would be over the moon. If they can draw the wax, fill them, cap it, and have all the honey ready to go by about 4th of July. All right, before I get started, check out this activity for early May. Just a quick first look at number 12 down here in the number 1 position. I mean, check that out. That is an awesome sign. We've been having a really good flow. Jennifer just happens to be in the backyard watering some plants and just hollered to me that there is a swarm moving in to the yellow swarm trap. And I am pleased to say I don't think they're one of mine, considering I was just in the yard and there's no signs of any of the hives swarming. No kidding. All right. Huh. One of two things. Either it's a lot of the bees from the purple trap, or the purple nuke, because I've noticed they've been going back to this for some reason, and maybe they're looking for a new home, or it's a swarm. So we'll just have to stay tuned and see what happens. All right, well, TBD on that. It's hard to say if it's a swarm right now or just bees from where the previous swarm trap was, moved them into a pro nuke, and then moved them into the stack nuke like y'all saw. I've noticed that the bees have been going back to where the original swarm trap was located, which I have experienced in the past, and I've had better success with inching the bees in a pro nuke or a stack nuke throughout the yard over the course of a few days. But between what y'all saw just there and another one over in the opposite corner of the backyard, they're both kind of slowly going back to where the original trap was. So I don't know, I might just close them up one night, move them out to the yard all in one shot, and whatever happens, happens. Yeah, check that out. I believe this is one of the newer frames that I waxed, but look how light that is between the wax, the nectar, the cappings. It's just beautiful. They're working this medium box, which is right in the middle. This is the first hive that I have 3 mediums on. So in another 2 months, that should be completely capped. So I just spent about an hour going through all the hives, really just checking the supers like I said, and it looks like I'm about to add 8 deep boxes. So I need to get 8 deep boxes. I need to get the frames waxed, and I'm gonna do that between tonight and tomorrow. And my plan is to start adding boxes at least starting Wednesday, no later than Thursday, and then just letting them ride. Whether I'm gonna top or bottom super is to be determined. I didn't show y'all this, I don't think I did, but I ended up switching around some of the supers. So the supers that were directly above the brood chamber, directly above the queen excluder, slam full. The ones that were a little higher were a little lighter, they needed more work. So essentially I reversed them, or the ones that had 3, I brought the top one all the way down to directly on top of the brood chamber. The middle moved all the way to the top, and then found a home for the 3rd one, if that makes any bit of sense. All right, I gotta get going, got a family dinner to get to, but I don't want to jinx myself because it's early May and we have, like I said in the introduction for today, about 2 more months to go, but this is like hands down the best I've ever seen this yard produce. Between the splits I made, the swarms I caught, and the 12-ish, I think, the 12 hives that overwintered successfully. I mean, holy smokes, they are hammering the local flowers because they are bringing in a ton of nectar, curing it, looks beautiful. A few of those clips that I shared with the new frames that I waxed in maybe March, added the medium boxes to act as supers in, I think, early April. Man, they drew those frames out beautifully. Beautiful, extremely light looking wax, nectar, beautiful, thin, clean wax capping. I feel like this honey is going to be extremely light and just beautiful. All right, that's it for me. Stay tuned for the rest of the month. If you can believe it or not, I got all 8 boxes, so 80 frames waxed in about an hour. It's 8:15, and I am going to get them all added to the 8 hives that I identified from earlier today, because since I got all the frames waxed and that was the goal, that was the first step, why wait until tomorrow afternoon when I can just go ahead and add them tonight? All right, that only took about 10 minutes, but I added a box to, let's see, number 20 right here, number 6, 17, number 4, number 3 just down here, number, oh yeah, 3, 4, right, 7, 9, and 10. So that's 8 deeps acting as supers. If they can fill that in the next 2 months, that's potentially, shoot, I don't even know, 700 to 800 pounds more honey, which would be incredible. So I am keeping my fingers crossed. All right, May 6th, my Hilco order from March 2nd has finally arrived. Pretty darn excited. All right, after 2 months, everything finally arrived. And I don't say that in a negative way. There's some stuff on back order, and then come to find out after talking to Hilco, they changed manufacturers mainly for their heated bottling tank, and they received some in recently, wanted to get them water tested before sending them out, of course. So from left to right, this is their 40-inch uncapping tank, the newest version with the sloped bottom, the different grates to capture cappings and let the honey drip through, of course, and then the center bar that allows you to store the frames both vertically and horizontally. 18 frame honey extractor with the programmable motor, the newest speed fill. Very excited to use that for bottling this year. I'm looking forward to just a more efficient process. And then their 16-gallon heated bottling tank, which used to be their 19. That's when they changed manufacturers, and talking to some of their reps, it's like 16.8 gallons, which is totally fine for me. Let's get this stuff unboxed and assemble some of it and check it out. My handy helper, Miss Charlotte, has been hanging out patiently and quietly while I could talk about what arrived, and she wants to pick which box we open first, right?
Yeah.
All right. Which one are you gonna pick? Oh boy. That one?
Yeah.
Okay, good choice. All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, folks, so hey, it is Friday, May 9th. It's in the evening, not that that really matters since I'm not doing anything with the bees. Obviously, I'm coming to you from in the shed because I wanted to give y'all a first look at all the equipment that was delivered a few days ago. So I decided not to do an unboxing or first look type video because honestly, there's enough online so to spare y'all that. I will give you my first impressions as we look at each piece of equipment. So let's get to it. All right, so this is their 40-inch uncapping tank, and pretty impressed with the build quality. Extremely easy to put together. Honestly, all you're doing is putting the legs on. I'll take the top off here in a second and show you. And then we have the Max 18. It's an 18 frame radial extractor. Again, nice build quality. This is one of those things I've seen on previous videos. Nothing against Maxent and the 9 frame powered extractor I had, but the lid situation, you could just pull the lids out. This being plexiglass or whatever the material is made of, and the fact that it has taller hinges to where it completely gets out of the way, should make loading and unloading the extractor very, very easy. And as other people have posted over the years or within the last year or two, they went from some kind of plastic, not cage, but this part, right, to a stainless steel one, which is nice. And I decided to go for the upgraded motor. I think this is like another 160 bucks or something. The automatic mode, pretty cool. 14.5 minute cycle, spins it at a low speed for about 2 minutes, increases, and then right at 14 minutes, it really slows everything down. This is actually a new product. So the backstory is this used to be their 19-gallon heated bottling tank, but according to some of the contacts at Hilco, they changed manufacturers, and this is now, it's like a 16.7 or 0.8. It's advertised as 16, but it's just shy of 17 gallons. So honestly, not a huge difference between 19 and 17. And if you haven't seen their videos, there's truth to it. All their equipment, the bottom slopes forward, and then the honey gates on all of them are recessed, which is pretty cool. This is their flange style shutoff valve. I got this for the purpose of hooking up the hose directly to their automatic bottler. I just took the hose off to store it since I'm not going to harvest honey for another probably 2 months. But sneak peek at what I plan on doing this year. I plan on bottling a few different options for folks. 8 ounces, a pound and a half, and 2 pounds. And the directions that came with this, super easy to understand, very easy to program, very, very happy. Let's take the lid off this so I can show you a few newer features. Granted, Hilco does an excellent job of showing everybody their new products and new features. Oh, before, we don't have to take the top off for this. The new uncapping tank has a sloped bottom. I don't know if that's really coming up on video, but it does. All right, let's take a look inside, and that'll be it for the first part of May's videos. All right, I believe John has a video out for the middle bar here with just the little, I don't even know what to call this. It's like a little pointy type nail for setting your frames on. But these things, I mean, the tolerance is extremely tight because that's the set screw to keep it in place, and it's like a thread or two to get it to lock in. So really nice tolerances, nice finish. This is a new feature if you haven't seen that on their website. It can hold, don't quote me, X amount of frames across, right? And then you can fit almost twice the amount of frames by stacking them upright. And then again, according to Hilco, these grates are a new change they made. And if you can see that or not, it's sloped to the middle, and then it's sloped down to the front to the honey gate. So very impressed Nice build quality, nice finish, sturdy, not cheap, like not flimsy stainless steel. So nice job, Hilco. All right, I just wanted to show everybody a quick demonstration of the automatic mode. So I'm gonna run the stopwatch, as you can see, and then you'll be able to see the display slightly, but you'll also be able to see the extractor increase and hear it increase in speed. But yeah, I just wanted to show everybody at what intervals, time intervals, it increases throughout the range. But before we do that, I have it switched into manual mode, and I just wanted to show y'all the full range. So to give you an idea, so it goes from 0 up to 60. All right, so let's get started with the automatic mode. You just have to switch it over. You hit run, which is the green button, and off we go. So it starts off at 12.30, and it will stay at this for about a minute, which is a nice setting, because if you have any frames that are uneven, or if the extractor is unevenly balanced, it keeps it there for a minute, and then it ramps up to 19.20. And then right at 3 minutes, it increases to 26.10. And then right at 6 minutes, it increases to 34.80. And then right at 9 minutes, it increases to 52.32, which is just below 90%. And then as you can see, right at 14 minutes, it ends its cycle, and it takes about 20 to 30 seconds to come to a stop. There you have it. That is a pretty cool feature that Hilco came up with, the programmable controller. All right, hey, thanks for watching, everybody. That's gonna wrap it up for early May. I just wanted to share this much. Thank you to everybody who watched late April's video. As of today, 5.3 thousand views and 79 subscribers gained from that one video. So thanks for watching, thanks for noticing, and thanks for subscribing, and hopefully we can do the same throughout the season. Let's start again with this video. So you are always welcome to share with your friends and family, and if you could hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, we greatly appreciate it.